Hello and welcome to another tutorial video here from Zenatta Consulting. My name is Tyler Colts, and in this video, we're going to be walking through how to set up some of the dashboards here and the homepage view within the CRM. If you do find this video useful, please be sure to like and subscribe down below. That really helps us out and to make sure that YouTube will continue to serve up our videos for you when we release new ones. If you do have any feedback or questions, please go ahead and drop those in the comments as well, as we try to review and respond to every single one of those on our weekly podcast, the CRM Zen Show. So without any further ado, let's jump on into the tutorial here. So there's kind of two main sections that we're going to be talking about today. One of them is the homepage customization. So here we're on the homepage of our demo account. We have a really basic one here, just a couple of these lists that we have. And then the other side of the tutorial is going to be around Zoho or using the analytics module within CRM. If you're on an older edition of CRM, this very well might be called dashboards. So if it says dashboards instead of analytics, we're talking about the same thing. So we'll start out with the home pages here because this is kind of a simple one. Really, your home pages are a combination of a couple different things that can be pulled in and displayed. So if we look at our sales homepage here, I'm going to go ahead and customize that under the Customize Homepage tab. And here we'll see that our homepage can essentially be shared with a certain set of roles, right? So you can essentially have one custom homepage for each role, where one of the homepages can be shared by more than one role. So we want to be cognizant about the fact that different people in the organization might need access to different data and might value different things on their homepage. So make sure to do some surveying around at your company to figure out what types of information are going to be useful for different types of users. Now, in this case, we'll go ahead and customize our dashboard. And what we'll see here on the left-hand side are the different things that we can pull in, and on the right are the things that have already been added, right? So I'm going to get rid of some of these ones that we might not care about here. So I'm going to get rid of my scheduled calls, my calls, and my overdue calls, because it looks like, there's no data flowing in there. On the left-hand side, we can pull in, for example, some of our custom views. So I've got some around leads. I have some around my open tasks. Maybe I want to drop in some information about deals as well, right? So I can go ahead and select all deals. And we'll see that this view just flows right on into our homepage. Now, you might be thinking where these views really come from, right? We clearly have some created for all these different modules, my customers, today's customers, leads that are coming in, junk leads, open leads. Where these actually pull from, if I open up our deals, is from your custom views list up here in the top left, right? So for example, I pulled in this view for all deals. But we can see in this view that things like closed lost, closed won, we might not care about those on our homepage. Something that's been closed lost and was closed back in January, right? This video is recorded in October. Probably not super relevant for me to see right at the beginning of my day on my homepage. So maybe I want to come over to our deals section and create a custom view for open deals. And this would be any deals where the stage is open, right? And so these are from your forecast groupings. Check out one of our videos on deal stages for a little bit more info on those. And then over here on the left, we can choose what info we want to pull in. Always good to give people kind of a good top down of what information you'd like them to see. So now we see kind of a reduced list that no longer includes those closed, lost, and closed won deals. Now back over here on our homepage, now we can go ahead, probably need to refresh this page. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this. I'm going to save our dashboard. I'm going to open it back up to edit it just so that our new custom view will show up. And now I have our open deals list that we can go ahead and add to our homepage. Now, the other side of the equation in terms of what things can be added to homepages come from dashboards. There's technically a third option for custom widgets, but we're not going to cover that in this video. We're just going to keep it with these kind of simple out-of-the-box functionalities. So here, right, I have a couple different dashboards that we can look at. If we look under the actual analytics tab, we'll see that our list over here, org overview, lead analytics, deal insights, these all match our options on the left here. So if I open up deal insights, now I have a bunch of different components, and unsurprisingly, those are going to line up with any of the components that are on this page, right? So maybe I want to drop in this revenue target, which I think we're calling revenue target this year, which is not showing up for some reason. Oh, I'm in the wrong dashboard. So under my org overview, I can go ahead and grab my revenue target for this year and add that across to my dashboard. Now you can pull these from multiple different dashboards. So I could have one come in from my org overview, and then I also want to pull in today's leads, which is going to be empty because this is a demo account. And then once I save, now back on my homepage, we'll see that we have my open deals list. We have my revenue target for this year, and then we have today's leads, which is currently empty. And so really, again, these homepages are just a nice way to give people that first level of information that they may need when they are opening up the CRM. Again, keeping in mind that you can pull it from two primary sources, one of those being your custom views under each of the different modules. And then the other option being our analytics or dashboard section, where we're able to create some of these custom KPIs. So now we've done a quick overview on the homepage. Let's play around a little bit with the dashboards themselves, because there's a couple things that are useful to know about this interface. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new dashboard, work from blank slate here. Call this our demo dashboard. One important thing that I'll call your attention to first is the sharing inside of dashboards. It's really important that you set up proper sharing rules for each of these. The reason that I say that is in order for a user to be able to view any components on their homepage that come from this analytics section, they'll need to have the proper permissions to access the analytics section. So you can't really lock this down fully and then selectively show people some data from within it. You kind of have to let them into the module for them to be able to use it on their homepage. So the trick is just to make sure that when you're setting up a new dashboard, you've shared it out to the proper groups, users, or what I would recommend is roles, so that only the people that need to see certain data are able to see it. So oftentimes I'll end up doing these on a role by role basis, right? So sales users see this type of dashboard, sales managers see this one, and admin level people can see the whole thing. So I'll go ahead and save that. Now over here on the left, we see a variety of different components that we can add. I'm not going to go through every single one today, but I'll go through some of the key ones that we find ourselves using a lot. So first I'll add a chart. I'll use the quick create option here to make our chart. Let's say we want to do leads by day, and we'll do leads by day, by source. Select our first module, basically where we want to pull our data from. Now you can pull in related modules to this as well. What I would recommend is if you find yourself needing to pull dashboards that involve, multiple modules at the same time, consider using the full Zoho Analytics tool rather than, the little one that's here in CRM, just because it's going to have a lot more functionality. Once you've selected your module, you can choose what it is that you want to measure. So this is in a chart would be like your y-axis. So you can run things like sums, averages, counts. In our case, we're going to run a count of our leads because we want to know how many are created by day and by source. Now we can look at our grouping right? So we can choose how we want to basically define our x-axis for a chart view. In this case, I'll do it by day. But we can actually group by more than one thing, right? So if we do a simple created time grouping, I'll go ahead and save this. We'll look and see that these leads, I guess, were all created on January 5th. But if we want to get a little bit more granular, we could also group them by a second parameter and come in and say we want to group by lead source. We'll notice that over here on the right, when I don't have this lead source added, it gives me a couple different options here for our chart, column, donut, pie, horizontal bar. Once I add a second grouping here, these options are going to change. So no longer can I really use a pie chart because it doesn't work for a multi-factor analysis. And then here on the right, we can determine how we want certain, second parameters to look. Do we want this to be a stack that's relative to its height? Do we want to normalize everything at the same height and care more about the distribution? In this case, I'll just do a normal stack. So now we'll see when we look at this that each of these different sections, right? So one was an online store lead, one was an employee referral, and one was a cold call, right? So we're able to get a little bit more information about how this data looks. So if we look at our different records, really the trick when you're pulling these together is just to work out, what types of data would be meaningful for you and how is the best way to represent that data based on what you're trying to look at, right? Because there's no right answer. It's really just, trial and error to figure out, what's going to be useful for you for the individual thing that you're looking for. To make this look a little bit better, I'm going to change it over to be a count of deals. So let's call this deals closed by day. And we can look at our closing date and maybe do a second grouping on lead source. I just want to show you this with a couple more parameters here. So now we can see, I guess none of these have a lead source, but when you plot these over time, you're able to get a good view on what is actually going on with your data. Last thing I'll show you here as well is the ability to run criteria filters. So here, because we don't have a source, I'm just going to get rid of lead source. Maybe underneath our stage, right? We only want to look at things that are closed won, or maybe even closed lost. So I'll add, stage needs to be closed, a closed won stage, or it can be a closed lost stage. And maybe I want to color code it now by stage so I can kind of see a quick view. So we've closed one deal as a lost on the 24th, and then we won one on July 30th, closed one or lost one, and then won one, right? So you can start to see how you can tweak and play with this data to get it to do what you need it to do. Another common option that we use here are these KPIs. I'll show just kind of like a quick one here. Maybe we want to look at just how many deals are open. We'll just copy this one exactly. Look at a count of deals where stage is open. All right, so we can just do a really quick little parameter here. It's going to want you to give a duration, right? So if you need to do that, you can go ahead and say, open deals that are maybe created this year. I think there's probably not going to be many. Yep. Now, the last thing I'll show here, actually, I'll show two more. Another one that we use really often is the target meter. So maybe we have certain goals that we've set, certain things that we want to achieve. So I'm going to go ahead and use, really all these are formatted the same. So I'll go ahead and use one of these at the top. So let's look at leads created since 2020. You can choose if you want to set this target only for particular groupings or sections. So oftentimes you'll use these maybe for like a sales KPI by user. For us, we're just going to look at this as more of a marketing goal. Going to look at a count of leads. In this case, we don't really need any criteria filter. Maybe we'd want to do something like the lead status isn't junk, maybe we don't want to count junk leads in our, KPIs around lead generation. And then created time, I can come in here and do a custom and maybe set it from January on forward. Now, last thing we'll need to do is create a target and go ahead and save that. And now we'll see that we've got this running total, right? We have 3 leads that have been created. We have our target of 15, right? Obviously, if you have 3 leads since 2020, probably need to spend a little bit more on marketing. But our point holds that we can essentially take certain points of data, plot them over a period of time, and then display them against a target. Now, the last one I'll show here is our funnel analysis, just because this is a pretty common one that we get asked to put together. I'm going to do it as a funnel here with this kind of visual view. Now, this is an important one to save, and maybe just keep this in your back pocket because it's not very obvious how these funnels are set up to work. So I'm going to call this our lead to deal flow. Our first one is going to be our leads created. So we'll choose from the module leads. Let's say created time. We'll just say from 2020 on. Now, the next thing we're going to do, so our first block of our funnel, right at the very top, is going to be the leads created. Now, based on the option that I've chosen here under our leads is where it's going to determine what's going to show for the second option. So we'll see here that I could look at leads that hit a certain status, something like that. In this case, we're going to go leads converted, because if you convert a lead, it'll go ahead and create your contact. And now lastly, we'll see that other than our leads created, leads converted, right? Our last one might be deals closed won. It's locking this first module because it's expecting that what's next is our deal, right? So this contact came from the lead. Now we're going to look at the deal for that contact from that lead. And we're going to look where our stage is won. And we'll go ahead and save that. And so now I'll drag this down just a little bit. We'll see that we've created our funnel where we had 9 leads that have come in. 6 of them have been converted. And 0 of the deals from those leads have ended up being closed won. And so if we look at this, what we might see is that, we might have other deals that are closed won already. What that would indicate is that those deals did not come from a converted lead, right? They came from someone who somehow skipped this process and was never created as a lead in the first place. So I'll go ahead and save our dashboard now. We have that in here under our demo dashboard. We can always come back in the top right and make any edits to this, do any reorganization. We can clone these dashboards. So if you want to create a couple different versions with minor tweaks and maybe push those out to different teams, you can surely do that through here as well. And then really just to kind of circle back to our home pages, if we have this new dashboard created and we go, wow, that's great, I want to show this to our team, I can come in, customize my home page, jump right into the edit section for my sales dashboard under customize. And now under the dashboards here, we'll see everything that we've just added is now available, right? So if I want to add that lead to deal flow, because, salespeople do love funnels, I can go ahead and drop that into my view, get everything kind of sorted out how we like it, save it. And now back on that homepage, it'll be immediately deployed for everybody to be able to review and take a look at. So again, there's a lot you can do here. As you can see, as we're kind of poking through some of those dashboards, there's even more different types of charts and elements that you can create. I wanted to keep it simple today and focus on some of the ones that we find ourselves using most often. But I think that should basically wrap it up for this walkthrough. Again, if you did find this useful, please be sure to like and subscribe down below. That really does help us out, and it lets us know which videos you're finding useful versus which ones might not be quite on targets. And then if you do have any feedback or questions, please be sure to leave those down below as well, as we try to review and respond to each and every one of those on our weekly podcast, the CRM Zen Show. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.